Hello. So today we're just going to give a quick overview of my 20 weeks. I was 20 weeks yesterday and had our anatomy scan and follow-up appointment right after with our high-risk doctor. But I guess I'll go an hour before. We actually had my son home yesterday because a teacher in his class, or excuse me, a teacher at his school tested positive for COVID. So they sent them home yesterday, and then about 2 o'clock, got the call that their was also tested positive. So we have a little 5-year-old home with us for the next couple of days. I think through March 15th, which will be a lot to try to balance with working and just trying to manage life. Especially with our anatomy scan yesterday. My mom was kind enough to come over and watch him. She's had her first COVID vaccine, but also had already been exposed to him before we realized what was going on. So we figured she's in our bubble. She was willing to kind of take one for the team just in case he does end up with COVID, but we're all trying to be really, really careful, quarantining ourselves for 10 days. We did still go to the anatomy scan since no one has any symptoms. We're considered not directly exposed because my son doesn't have any symptoms at the time. So a little bit of a, frustrating hour right before we were ready to leave. But we got to the anatomy scan. Um, 3 babies in an hour was pretty impressive. Our technician was awesome. She gave each baby a good 20 minutes and was able to get all the pictures she needed. I think there were a few that we couldn't get, maybe like the aorta on baby B, I think, just wasn't in the right position. But A and B were laying kind of yin and yang, head to butt. And actually, B's butt was on A's face for a while, which is pretty funny just in the ultrasound, seeing how they were kind of kicking each other. And then baby C was laying across my top of my belly, kind of in a fetal position, and wouldn't turn over to get her face measured. So not super cooperative. I also had a fig bar on the way to the appointment, so I think that had to do with them being a little more active. But pretty easy. Quick scan. I figured we'd be there a lot longer. No issues at all. Everybody's in the perfect growth. A and C were both 13 ounces, and B was 11 ounces. So A and B are the twin boys, and C is the fraternal girl. But yeah, everybody was measuring right on track. Had our sit down appointment with our MFM. He's wonderful, gives us plenty of time to talk through things. I got rescreened, I guess a couple weeks ago. I'm thinking maybe it was around 14 weeks. I had a urine analysis and they saw elevated levels of strep B, which I had never really heard of. I knew you got tested for strep B right before you deliver because that could cause some issues with the baby if you deliver vaginally. But I guess with multiples, there's a risk if you have any kind of an infection of preeclampsia. So back then I was put on a series of antibiotics just to kind of get that out of my system. So I had a rescreen yesterday just to make sure everything was kind of done. We did have a pretty in-depth conversation about COVID. Really just, what happens if I do get it. And it helped kind of ease my mind a little bit. He basically said you do what anybody else does that happens to get it. If it's a mild case, you quarantine at home and you rest and drink fluids and pray that you kind of have a mild case and get through it quickly. If it is a more intense case, he said go to the ER at the hospital that I'll be delivering at. He has, authority there. He said anything, when you're 20 weeks or over, you just go to labor and delivery if you have an issue. But with COVID, they want you to go to the emergency department just in case there's any need for breathing tubes or things like that. So made me feel a little bit better that I have a plan just in case we do have COVID in our house. We don't as of right now, knocking on wood. Everybody's feeling fine and no symptoms yet. I think it's allergy season, so I'm a little stuffy and throat hurts and eyes are watering, but that's definitely not a sign that I think of anything other than allergies. Feeling pretty good. Babies are moving a lot. The pelvic pain or round ligament pain has gotten a little bit stronger. So I've decided to make an appointment with a um, prenatal specific chiropractor that was recommended to me. So on Monday morning, I'm going to go in before normal hours just to be super COVID safe. They are going to have a deep clean every Sunday. And so my appointments will be Monday at 8:15 before it's open to the public, just to kind of ease my mind. Go in for an assessment and then, start getting adjustments a little bit more regularly just to see if it can help relieve some of my back pain and some of the pelvis pain that I've been having. What else? I have been eating a lot more. I've gained a little bit of weight finally. Um, I think you can probably tell I've gotten a little bit larger, had to upgrade bra size. But the belly is bigger. You can kind of show that a little bit. Definitely large and in charge. I feel like I, was about 36 weeks with Garrett. So I've got, hopefully a good 12 to 16 more weeks to grow. Um, Maternity pants are starting to be a little tight. I'm trying to figure out what kind of clothing I'm going to switch into now that it's getting a little bit warmer. Just because I'm going up a size in most everything. Um, Cravings, I'm just eating all the time now. I feel like I have Twizzlers sitting here next to me because I don't, Twizzlers are just like the perfect thing for me. My last pregnancy, it was funfetti icing. So I think this is at least an upgrade where it's a little bit healthier. I just eat one or two Twizzlers after a meal. Um, but, my kind of what I'm eating, I have breakfast around 8 o'clock every day. And I've been just eating like a Jimmy Dean light egg sandwich. It's like egg whites with turkey sausage on an English muffin. Microwave that and have that for breakfast. Then maybe an hour or two later, I'll have a Premier protein shake. I actually had the coffee flavor today, which gives me a little boost. Didn't sleep very well last night, tossed and turned probably over the anxiety about COVID and the scan anxiety the night before. Just kind of didn't sleep very well. So I needed a little bit of coffee to kind of get me up today because I did take a Unisom. So I'll take a Unisom every now and then, but it does kind of give me that like not hangover feeling, but just like really sleepy after you take sleepy medicine. So a little bit of coffee this morning helped wake me up. And then for lunch, I just had a noodle bowl. They're vegetable noodle bowls that come from Costco. Two chocolate chip cookies after that. So probably should wean back on those. But then I'll probably have an apple with almond butter a little bit later today. Usually around 3 o'clock, I'm ready for another snack. And then dinner. I don't. My husband has been amazing at managing dinner most nights. Um, but there's a lot that just doesn't sound good if it's super flavorful, like a lot of spices or a lot of strong texture flavors. Even texture kind of is not my thing. Last night we had Mexican takeout, which was good. But yeah, it's hard because I want to eat all the time, but I feel like there's not a lot that I can find that's, I crave or really want. I keep a bowl of pistachios next to me for in between meetings. Those help. I think that's a good solid snack. But really, it's just trying to find things that are nutritional that I know are going to stick with me. I ate a whole lot more junk food when I was pregnant the first time, and this time I just crave nutrition. And I think that's just because there's so many more babies that are taking my nutrition. I can just tell when I don't have enough vitamins, and when I have one of those protein shakes, I like immediately feel better. Like I can feel the nutrients kind of going into my system and making me feel better. Also trying to drink a lot more water. I have a thermo flask that I keep around. I also have this huge jug of water that's like 64 ounces or like a gallon a day. A little harder to lug around from being upstairs to down in my office down here. But really trying to stay hydrated. I can actually tell my stomach gets tighter when I haven't had enough water. So that's a big goal for this week. It's just to make sure I'm getting hydrated. Um, what else? It's really just kind of keeping afloat, managing a 5-year-old while being pregnant. It's kind of amazing. People keep talking about how well I'm doing, and like I share, bump date pictures on Instagram, and people just kind of comment on how good I look, and it's really nice to hear. I certainly feel like I'm getting bigger, but just to hear that I'm glowing and how people are just impressed with how I'm handling the triple pregnancy is kind of nice. And pat myself on the back a little bit for just being able to get through it. I certainly feel like I complain a lot, especially at home, with just not being able to do a lot. My husband got me one of those grabber things that you can use to pick up socks off the floor and things like that. That's been really helpful. But knowing my limitations and just resting and making sure I'm taking enough breaks has been really important. But yeah, I mean, 20 weeks is, already in it. So I'd say 19 to 20 weeks has been very similar. Not a whole lot of change. I would say last weekend I was very into nesting, kind of rearranged the nursery a couple times, started washing Garrett's clothes and kind of sorting out what we have for that kind of newborn and 0 to 3 stage. But it's really just trying to get organized and keep my list of things to do, kind of keep checking things off so that I feel like I have some kind of control in this crazy process. Um, but yeah, it's just really a lot of the same thing. I feel like that's kind of a boring update, but my thought is kind of maybe in the next video or two, I can put some of the things on my registry, some of the triplet must-have type items. I've got a pretty good registry put together. It seems weird as a second pregnancy to do a registry and to even think about having friends gift us things. But really, we do need stuff, and we do need 2 more car seats and some things, especially girl things, because we didn't have any of those. So maybe that's the next update I can do is just share some of those types of things that we're looking for, what we've bought that's been really helpful. Those kinds of videos are really helpful for me. Watched a lot of triplet moms that it's their first pregnancy and gotten a lot of tips, but maybe I can share a little bit from the perspective of having a child and what you need in addition to kind of what you may already have. So I can kind of put some ideas together. I'm not super savvy on how to do like the screen sharing and figure out how to do things like that. So maybe I'll just share a list in the description, something like that. But just kind of some helpful tips of where we are. But over halfway, pretty crazy that we have hopefully 16 weeks to go. But who knows? I think we could go anywhere between 32 and 36 weeks and be really happy. So appreciate anybody that's following along on the journey, watching these videos, and just learning more and just being able to share what I'm going through to hopefully help answer questions or give another mom a little bit of motivation to see how it feels and how kind of things are going at 20 weeks. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and I will be back to share more. Thank you.